All right, guys, welcome to the Drag and Drive show presented by Summit Racing for May 3rd, 2023. My name is Mike Narks. I run dragandrive.com and the Drag and Drive Addiction Group, which has a Facebook page and an entire Facebook group. Eric, introduce yourself. Tell them who you are.
I am Eric White. I am the producer of Drag and Drive. Also run 815 LSX swaps and motorsports paparazzi.
He's a busy guy. Well, guys, this week we're going to talk about the 2023 Drag and Drive World Champion presented by Summit Racing. We're going to talk to the Drag and Drive Addiction newest team member, Alexandria Garcia, about her 8-second daily driver Mustang. And then we're going to talk to Aaron Shaffer, who I am referring to as Mr. 850, the current record holder for any 850 class at I think any 850 event. I think he is the overall 850 guy out of any 850 class racing we have ever seen with an 85105. We're going to get into that in a little bit as well. And I'm going to hint that he may be making a run at the world champion.
Yes.
And then, Eric, tell them what you've been up to, because you've been editing a ton of stuff behind the scenes.
Yep. So don't forget, the podcast now is available on all or most podcast streaming services. We have the first 2 episodes released now. Again, we're going to release them daily besides Wednesdays and Saturdays when we do these shows. All you have to do is say, Alexa, play Drag and Drive Addiction Podcast, and you will get the latest episode.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Eric has really been working really, really hard, guys. We had a lot of backlog that I had not put up, and he is taking care of a ton of that. So that's exciting. And then last night, I recorded with Matt West of Automotive ADHD podcast and radio show, which is kind of cool. It's my first time to do that. And then we discussed a little bit of my history, but we really dove deep into the Drag and Drive community and history of Drag and Drive. And then obviously, we talked about the biggest news to hit Drag and Drive in a very long time is the Drag and Drive World Champion, and how his community, I think, would end up enjoying all of that. So be looking for it to drop late next week. And then I'm going to put the link in the chat right over there on the side. That would take you right to his Facebook page, and that would allow you to follow him and see when the video or when the podcast of my stuff comes up.
Awesome. And tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern, AdamDorey YouTube channel, Adam is going to interview Joe Barry for episode number 10 of That's Cool Drink, which is the name of his live stream.
Dude, I'm so ready for that one. Adam does a great job. Obviously, he is what you could almost consider a professional announcer. Does 3 Drag and Drive events, national Drag and Drive events across the country, and is great at that stuff. They are covering the early days of Rocky Mountain Race Week history, and that's really, really exciting because there's a lot of, Rocky Mountain was the first event to step out and do its own thing. And so it really grew from there. All right. Well, let's talk about some other stuff here too, because our friends at Summit Racing always are bringing up new and interesting deals that I'm finding because I spent so much time over there. Obviously, this week they have the Long Acre Racing products, US wheels, which I'm actually looking at a set of these for the old truck because I'd like to go to a smoothie style wheel. And then the gauges here, Intellitronics Corp gauges. I really like that stuff. I like the vintage look, but also the modern use of it. And then the Hush Mat, guys, this is something that's in the new PRI magazine, as well as talking about sound deadening and heat protection inside the cars. So that's one big thing we'll talk about next week, is how to not only make your car quieter so you can hear your co-pilot yell at you, but also fight off some of the fatigue that we get because of the Drag and Drive events being later in the season, pretty hot inside the cars. How do you protect yourself from that and save yourself a little bit of extra weight loss from sweating? And then this right here, I'm buying this literally tonight.
Yes.
Jack stand organizers, dude, tell me this. How many times do you trip over the jack stands when you're in the shop?
I don't trip over mine because I have them on a shelf, but they take up a lot of space on a shelf that I could have more car parts on.
Yeah, that's exactly right. These help a ton. You can see this one's $40, dude. $40. That's so cheap. And then, we talked a couple weeks ago about theft deterrent systems, and I came across this kind of in a little bit of that research and thinking about it later. I like this because it's literally a push button emergency brake. So you could hide the push button anywhere, and then they're not sliding under your car and just removing a drive shaft or just putting it in neutral and rolling. Your emergency brakes are literally locked up. So I kind of like that. I thought that was a neat, I don't know, piece somebody could pick up and use throughout the drag and drive season that's coming up, because we're fixing to get really, really, really busy.
Yes, sir. So awesome stuff there on Summit, like always. I am going to jump into the Found on Racing Junk stuff now.
Yes. Let's see what you
So,
found this week, because last week you had a bunch of wagons because you hung out with Chris Paget
yep,
and his whole awesomeness of a 55 Bel Air wagon at the circuit. And so this week it says here in your notes that maybe Brian Acton and Jay Blanchard were your inspiration for this week.
yep, that's right. I'm struggling a little bit here to get it pulled up, but yeah, 100%. After hanging out with those guys, I went on a Nova search. So
Yeah.
I've got three here that I'm going to show. The first one here is this 1970. I don't know if you see this right here. Obviously, that gets my attention. Uh,
Yeah. I love
L-
when they're LS swiped.
yeah, 31.9, 70 Nova LS swapped. This one's very clean. I
Yeah.
definitely like the color on it, and I like that
Yeah.
sunset orange is what they're calling it. So
Yeah, I dig
very
that big
cool.
time. We are Nova people around here. My brother and I. My dad had one before he passed, and we'll rebuild that car or rebuild a car similar to that. We obviously didn't own that car
Yep.
after he passed, but
So 70 Nova, sunset orange, black interior, 8-point cage, 5.3 LS, BTR stage 2 cam, stainless
yeah,
works headers. Some good stuff on there.
yeah, that thing's ready for drag and drive right there.
Yep. The second one here is a 1971 Nova. This one is also LS swapped. It's a 370 turbo LS engine. This one's cool. I'm not sure if I feel the colors on this one though. I
It's a
don't
little
know.
bright for me, but
I don't know about the green, but definitely looks like it's got some good parts on it as well.
yeah,
Turbo LS, you can't go wrong there,
and a hood stack, dude. Come on.
right? And my other one disappeared here. Let me see if I can pull that one up real quick.
Well, those are two good ones for sure. And obviously, racingjunk.com classifieds is the buy, sell, trade uh, website for all of dragandrive.com. We feel it's better to run it there than try and create a Facebook buy and sell page.
Yep. And here's the last one, a 72. I don't know if you noticed there was a 70, a 71, and a 72. This one was kind of cool. You see the sticker here? Pink's
Hey,
All
there you
Out
go.
from
Yeah.
February of 2007.
Wow. You know what's wild is they're bringing that back. There's a lot of new Pinks episodes on Power Tube TV.
Yep. So this one is not LS swapped, but 468 big block Chevy.
Okay. That's the only
So,
way I'll let you. That's the only way that goes. It's fine. It's fine now.
so those are your three found on racing junk vehicles for this week.
That's awesome, dude. Great finds on there, man, and really pretty inexpensive. When you start thinking about it.
Yeah,
Cars that run and drive in the 30s. I mean, that's awesome. Well,
right.
let's thank one of our sponsors real quick, and then let's jump into all of the fun stuff we got going on.
Molly Motorsports is the official piston of DragAndDrive.com. Molly's Power Pack piston is the perfect candidate for your drag and drive car. Molly Motorsports competes in drag and drive events and supports our community. Project manager Eric Grillo raced a 10-second stick shift Nova at Hot Rod Drag Week 2022. He's also competed in Rocky Mountain Race Week last year with his C10 truck. Visit mollymotorsports.com for the most recent line of products.
Hey, I do want to say I forgot the intro that Eric worked diligently on to create, and I completely forgot. So I apologize about that. We'll play it at the end. He's going to slap me around when he sees me next time. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Well, dude, let's talk about events, because we're literally we're in the throes of the drag and drive season. I hope everybody is wrenching on their stuff, getting ready. We have 1 week until Carolina Drag Cruise starts. 1 week, man. I hope everybody's ready. May 10th through 14th in South Carolina. There are still a few spots available for that event. So if you want to get in there and participate in this event, get over there, get signed up, carolinadragcruise.com. King of the Open Road, the end of May, which I never thought would come, is 3.5 weeks from now, May 27th and 28th. And one of our guests on later, our new Drag and Drive Addiction teammate, she's going to be racing in the 9.0 class there. So that's kind of exciting. We're going to talk a little bit about that with her. This event for them is at Thunder Valley. Then obviously they have other events later in the season in Tucson and Ennis, Texas. And then Six Summer begins June 4th through 9th, which is in a month at Cordova Dragway. Alaska Speed Week. Listen, I need somebody to fly me to Alaska. Right. I don't know how we need to do that, but somebody hook me up, do that for me. Alaska Speed Week, June 11th through 16th, Alaska Raceway Park. Registration opened last week? No, Monday maybe. I think it opened Monday for that. So they're running it pretty close, so better get your stuff, get it set up. I do know there are some people, obviously from the States, that are going, but are driving their race cars up there. You know, some people like to live life dangerously. And then the BC Drag It Challenge in British Columbia, June 15th through 19th. I think they do have a few spots available there. I'm kind of excited about this event. There's not been just a ton of racers posting that they're going. So I'm hoping we're going to have a lot of new racers that come to this event. So I'll message the promoters about it after this show and kind of talk through with them. And then guys, like we were talking earlier, Rocky Mountain Race Week 1.0 is June 24th through 30th. And it starts in Kearney, Nebraska. And guys, well, we won't talk about it all, but Aaron has some trophies that are from Rocky Mountain Race Week events, and he's going to go into some of those. And then I had planned to do 1.0 this year, but guys, I just can't do it. We've got too much going on. So 1.0 will have to live for me for 2024, but I'm so glad there's so many people that are signed up out there for that event. And then the one that I am going to, Summit Racing Midwest Drags, July 10th through 14th, Virginia Motorsports Park. Guys, there are a few spots available left here. Please sign up, come out, hang out with me. We have the best live stream in all of Drag and Drive. I'll put it down, put the gauntlet down for anybody to compare it to any other events that are out there. And I'm not just saying that because I'm going to be a pit announcer and helping in the tower sometimes. I'm saying it because, y'all, it's great. We have, if the track is slow, they put the camera on me, and you guys know I can chit chat and all that kind of stuff. MidwestDrags.com is the place to register for that one. And then if you want to see all of the other events, the other 18 events that are happening the rest of the year, you can go find those on dragonDrive.com and just hit the news tab, and you'll see, scroll down just a little bit, and you'll see the events list. There's 31 events for 2023.
Awesome. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming.
Well, as I told Matt West of Automotive ADHD, we're looking, I mean, there could be more than 3,500 entries this year into Drag and Drive, if not more. So it'll be obviously the largest year ever, but there's going to be so many new names on that. I'm so excited. So, yeah. And then dude, tell them about this next spot here.
I was going to say, you know what I'm excited for?
Yeah.
Boom. The limited run shirts that we are doing. Again, these are a pre-order only. They are available until the 20th of this month. So you have 17 days to get your order in. There are, what do we have? 14, 15 somewhere orders already, and it's been just a week. So
yeah, it's exciting.
That's pretty sweet. $30 each, free shipping. dragonDrive.com/shop. You can get your parking lot beers and trailer burnouts #racecarfriends t-shirt.
That's right. That's right. Well, guys, we definitely want to thank Sweet Patina for their sponsorship of the Built for Drag and Drive segment, which is coming back this Saturday morning. I have a cool car that we're going to talk about that has a matching trailer, if that kind of gives you guys a hint or clue to whatever we're going to be talking about. So I'm excited about that segment. Sadly, I'm not going on site to get some videos of that car, but I do have several videos from other events that car has participated in. And I will just say this: it enjoys killing transmissions. If that kind of gives anybody a tip on the car featured on this week's Built for Drag and Drive on Saturday morning of the Drag and Drive News. All right, guys, we're going to bring in our first guest, Mr. 850 himself, Aaron Shaffer. But I do want to give just a quick rundown before he jumps on. I embarrass him. He currently, like I said earlier, is the closest racer across all national events to the infamous 850 average. His race week 2022 class win 85105. Then he goes down to sick week 2023, wins his class again with an 85106. Now, I don't know if that makes you sad or happy, but I think if I was that close to beating my personal record, I would be sad. And again, that is across 5 passes at 4 different tracks. With his sick week finish, Aaron has 37 points towards the 2023 Drag and Drive World Champion attempt. He received 26 points for completing the event, 7 points for his class win, another 2 points because he's an 8-second car, and another point each for lowering the sick street race class ET average, and a point for increasing the mile per hour. So kind of exciting. I hope he's not blushing because we're going to bring him on right now. Hi, friend.
Hey, how are you doing?
Man, I'm excited. There's a lot of folks that are really interested in hearing some stories from you tonight about how they're going to beat you. They want to know some tips and tricks to get into that 850.
Yeah, I've been seeing these little pop-ups that Eric's been putting in. Some of them saying Facebook users. So I want to know who those people are so that I can make sure that I'm watching
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So if you are in, let me address that. If you are in the Drag and Drive Addiction Facebook group, you will need to allow StreamYard permissions to use your name and up on the screen. So if you give them that permission at the bottom of the description of the video, it'll bring your name up. So yeah, 850 the man. That is for sure. I'm telling you, it's been pretty impressive watching your stuff over the last 18 months and really tracking the history of your event status. Man, you are a serious 850 racer. So why don't you introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are and what you drive.
Aaron Shaffer, or as you say, Mr. 850. But I've got a 98 Camaro. I call it the Silverback. I've had it for 12 years. And, I'm just hooked on racing and drag and drive. It's summer camp for racers.
That's right. That's right.
So tell us a little bit about the car and a little bit about the details of the build, maybe the engine trans combo.
Yeah, so like I said, it's a 98 F-body hardtop. So currently it's got a Mueller Performance 427 with the Precision Pro Mod 88. Mr. Wendell's Turbo 400, still 3-speed. And then it's got a Midwest chassis, Fab 9-inch in it. Viking suspension, Midwest chassis suspension. Pretty bolt-on kit, but all built in my garage.
Very nice. What's one item or part that was purchased specifically to make your car built for drag and drive?
So there's 2. One of them's odd. One's kind of common in our world, but I've got 2 exhaust systems on the car. So I've got a 5-inch downpipe that goes out my bumper. It's got a 5-inch cutout right before the bumper. And then I've got a 4-inch downpipe that merges into that. It goes 4-inch about midway to the car, converts to 3-inch. It's got a spiral flow muffler, and then it's got a tailpipe all the way out to the back. So that makes it really nice to drive. I've got a full stereo in the car with components and a sub. So you drive in style and listen to our tunes. Unlike, some people with little Bluetooth, so, we're rocking out. And
that's awesome.
The second thing that is a little odd, I've actually got a transmission pit cooler built on the car. So it's got an external pump, a separate trans cooler and fan that I can run with the car off and run through the car's 12-volt system and cool the transmission down 2 minutes maybe. And
Wow.
I use that for hot lapping.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive. That's going to really kind of get my gears turning there. So we're going to deviate from the questions just a little bit. I want to talk about that for a second, because what people have to understand is, like, while your car is it's ready to go for 850 all the time, you can generally run something close. But to be as competitive as you are, there's a lot of times where you're going to make several passes in a day. How many passes have you made in a single day of racing on a drag and drive?
Some people are going to hate me for this, but like 2.0 last year, I only made 8 passes the entire week.
Holy
Wow.
jeez.
There's 2 days that
Jay Blanchard right now he just threw something across the shop. I know he did.
there were 2 days that I went 850 on the first pass.
Wow.
And then another day that it was just 2 passes, another day it was 3, maybe 2, but it was only like 7, maybe 8 passes the entire week. Sick week, I made probably about 10 or 11 passes. Now, in the beginning, it wasn't that easy. I would make 5 passes a day, 6 passes a day, but I've had the car so long and know how it reacts, where I've got enough data, enough tunes, enough gut feel for what the car needs, that I'm lucky enough to not have to beat the car over the head to run the number.
That's pretty awesome. Well, that leads right into the next question. Is what is your background in drag and drive events? Like, how many have you competed in?
So I've done 7 as a racer, 1 as a co-pilot. Started back in 2018. Went with hashtag Team Texas. So it was James, John Dotson, Jason Dozier, Clint Sadowski. We all were out at the 18 drag week. Back then it was just to survive. So I ran like a low 9 just to survive the week. Car didn't have too much more in it. And that's when I really got the taste and turned it up. And I've done the drag weeks, the race weeks, sick weeks.
Yeah.
Who's been your co-pilot?
So really it's just been 3 people, high school buddy, Jake Howell, then John Dotson has co-piloted for me once, and then another buddy, Chadwick Hughes. He's co-piloted last year and will be this year as well.
Okay, cool. What's one tip you can give people when they're trying to choose somebody to be their co-pilot?
I've had several people say they want to go with me and think it's going to be the coolest thing ever, and it is. But you've got to be built different. I mean, you guys know how much of a beating it is. And, there's been times where we pull in the hotel at 3:00 and thick skin. Definitely need it with Scott.
Yeah, you need to be pretty tough. You need to be strong in your own self-worth to hang out with him.
Yeah. But I remember one year we pulled into the hotel at like 2 or 3 and John Donson was having a transmission issue. We ripped the transmission out in the Holiday Inn parking lot, rebuilt it in the parking lot, had it back together by 5:00 in the morning, took a quick shower, slept for an hour, and then hit the road again to go back on drag week. I mean, that's just not normal, but we do what you have to survive and to hopefully win. So you got to have a co-pilot that that's willing to do that too.
That's a great way to put that. And then which part of the event is your favorite? Is it the racing? Is it the parking lot? Is it the driving between tracks? What do you like the most?
It's a pretty close between the racing and the competition and just hanging out with my friends. I mean, honestly, I end up picking more what event I'm doing just based on who's going and who I get to hang out with as much as the event itself. So I'd have to say that the competition to me is the first, but right behind it is just hanging out with your buddies for a week.
Spending a week with your race car friends.
Right.
Yep. Like I said, race for summer camp.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, somebody in the comments like that. I forget who it was. Yeah, here we go. Dave. He said that's the best description I have ever heard. Summer camp for drag racers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
So
just
what?
different. Yeah.
Yeah, what drew you to the 850 class?
So when I was getting into it, all of my buddies here in Texas were doing 850. So, you know, James was winning the big block power adder class in drag week. Jason Dozier and John Dodson, they were always going for it in the small block street race class. So I just kind of followed into that with them. Also at the time, I only had a 10-point cage. I still to this day just have a hard time convincing myself to put anything other than the 10-point in it. You know, the car is low. I'm 6'4". I'm not a small guy. So, you know, I just feel like it would take too much away from the car where I wouldn't enjoy it as much. And like I said, I've had it for 12 years. The last thing I want to do is just have it be an ornament that sits in my garage and not really enjoy.
Yeah,
well, I think everybody knows. Yeah, I think everybody knows I love the 850 class anyways.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We talk about it all the time, 850, because once you go past that, you got the funny car cage, and a lot of people do still daily drive and drive them, but it's not as comfortable to climb in and out of, especially the older you get. It's harder to get in and out.
Well, the Camaro's got such long doors. And like I said, I'm 6'4", so if anyone is parked next to me with a funny car cage, I'm not moving. Like, I'm not getting into the car. I'd have to crawl through the hatch and over the roll bar. Like, it just couldn't happen. So it just would kill the car for me. I mean, maybe one day I'll get crazy and do it. But, I mean, obviously the car goes well faster than an 850, but I think it just killed the car for me.
Well, and I think what we're going to see is we're going to see two levels of car being built. We'll see guys like you that run 850 consistently like you do, and then there'll be a wild hair that you'll get, and you'll go, "Hey, I'm fixing to build something really fast and go after some low sevens or high sixes or something like that." But that car is a 10-year build, but I don't think we're going to see a lot of folks that are going to take their current 850 car and upgrade it to that level like we used to. To win a class, you had to keep upgrading your car and all that stuff. I think we'll see some, I hate to say index racing come that way, but I feel like that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, the great thing about 850 is your competitor really can't outspend you. I mean, if you can run the number, you can run the number. And at that point, it really just is a tuner's game and who knows their car the best. And, that's the thing. I'll do true street races, extreme street races here in Dallas area, and I'm completely outgunned. Somehow I'll beat some of them, but whenever I do those races, I don't really expect to win because I'm running it on the ragged edge, trying to run a 4-second 8th mile or whatever, and they're cruising doing that. And I know it's just the wrong car, but I just can't change it because drag and drive.
Yeah, because drag and drive. That's right.
Yeah. So do you have any tips, I guess, for the other 850 racers without giving away all your secrets here? But do you have any tips that you can give them to be consistent like you are?
I love that he crossed his arms.
Yeah, I'm closing off here. I'm not going to give my greatest secrets away, but data. The more you know your car, the more you can keep consistent between run to run, the better understanding you'll have on the car and know exactly how it'll react. I mean, that sick week, I would go run a 5. There's one day I went 5.1, and I was like, man, Dustin's right behind me. I know he is a contender. I need to do something. And then I made just the smallest little change, and sure enough, it was an A502 or something like that, A503. Having that kind of confidence that as long as the weather doesn't change too much, that I can make that kind of fine tune, hundredths of thousandths of a second, and the car actually do it. gives you the comfort to just stay in it the whole time and know the car will just do what it's supposed to. But you've got to have data. You've got to understand the data. You've got to look at everything and try to take any variable out of the picture. So again, go ahead.
I was going to say, we've talked about it before too, but the longer you've had your car, the more you do get to know it and know how it's going to react. And like you said, you've had it for 12 years. I mean, that's a while. So it's not like you're just coming out with a new build and trying to dial it in. You're kind of already to that sweet spot.
Yeah. I mean, over the 12 years, it's had many combos. I mean, it's been a heads cam 6-speed car to 100 shot on that, to a turbo 400 with a 250 shot, to a 85 mil stock block motor, to a 88 VS turbo with a forged rod piston rod motor, to now a Dart 427 with all the goodies. So I mean, it hadn't been the exact same setup over the last 12 years. I've had this setup for probably 2.5, 3 years now, but I've done 7 Dragon drives with it, so you learn a lot in those weeks.
Yeah.
Well, and testing wise, how many passes do you generally make in? I mean, I'm not going to say you're out testing, but you're out racing other events. You're racing weekend stuff, maybe testing 2 nights, things like that.
Yeah, no, I just did a couple weeks ago. I did the Texas Radial Roundup, did the True Street class and the Extreme Street class. So the True Street was a 542 cap, and man, I got beat out running a 544, and the guy just nosed me. And I thought we were going to break out, so I didn't hit the scramble. But I'll do those events too, and I'm doing Holly LS Fest in a couple weeks down here in Texas, so that's going to be a no prep. But I do events local all the time. But I do try to do events that run similar tune-ups so that I can learn from those events as well as compete in them.
Yeah. Let's talk data acquisition. So, and this is probably a little nerdier than what everybody wants to get to, but Jay Blanchard's in here to learn. They have a folder full of all kinds of data from every pass they've made for a long, long time. Do you have the same kind of, is it handwritten? Do you keep it on an Excel spreadsheet? How do you keep your data?
No, it's all in data logs. I put notes in there for weather. I don't get too crazy with the weather, but I have a ton of sensors on the car. I mean, I've got, if it has pressure, I probably have a sensor on it. I mean, you got the normal, coolant pressure, transmission, mainline pressure, converter pressure. I have a pressure on my meth system so that I know that the meth system's flowing at the ideal rate. I've got travel sensors. I've got, ethanol content. I've got temperature sensors on the transmission, the intercooler, you name it. I've probably got a sensor on it, and I'm almost out of inputs. I've got a VPS, the Davis VPS on the car. I mean, it's all there. And I sometimes it's too much to look at, but again, I've made enough passes that I know which ones I really need to pay attention to between pass to pass to know what changes I need to make on the car. So it's really just going back and referencing data logs.
Right. That's pretty awesome. And I think data is probably one aspect that, over the last few years, we typically have seen in completely new thought process in racers that are coming for, ET based wins.
Yeah. I mean, like I said before, data. The more you know and the less you're guessing, the more you can make educated decisions on your tune-up changes.
Yeah.
Yep. So I see you've got quite a few trophies behind you. What's been your favorite one that you've won?
I have to say, this is the coolest trophy. This was the 2020 Race Week Limited Street win, but I mean, this is a multi-level pretty cool metal print, or not print, but cutout. So that's probably my favorite looking trophy, and it was my first 850 win. But this one is probably the one I value the most, the sick week win. I did the first sick week in 22. I thought I was, gangster, just going to go in there and wreck shop. I had no idea how much the Florida weather and air was going to mess with me. And you'd have an hour and a half, 2 hours between passes, and it was like you're racing in a whole different city. I just didn't understand the car well enough to really succeed there. So I got second place to Alex. He did a great job. So, I mean, he definitely earned it. I was right on his heels, but I was looking to redeem myself after that second place finish. So I'm pretty happy that I was able to do that this year with the 23 sick week.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And that's a heck of a hard class, because you were, was it you and Jordan Boudreaux that were racing so hard, or?
No, it was Dustin Trance, who's won drag week. Yeah, Jordan was in the open class of the 850.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, so do you have other trophies?
Dustin and Steve Trance, sorry, Eric, sorry, real quick, on that, Dustin and Steve Trance are probably as competitive in 850 class racing as you are. I mean,
I mean, from the get-go, before you even got there, I said to Dustin and Steve that one of us is going to get first and one of us is going to get second, and I have no idea which one it's going to be. And I pushed my tune-ups harder than I normally probably would have. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm dealing with hundreds and thousands, but every pass I was trying to make the run, which I'm sure I made the one pass when I went 85001 on day 4. So I mean, I was 1/10,000th away from literally a perfect pass.
Yeah. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's wild. Do you have other trophies besides those ones, or are those just the main ones?
So I've done several of the streetcar takeovers. So those at the top are all streetcar takeovers. Obviously, that's another race week win. Then I've got some other local events that I've won here, just a couple. But I'm looking to expand it, and I've never done no prep before, but I've made several changes for the car for no prep, and I'm looking to go to Ellis Fest and be a no prep newbie, but somehow win it. So. I always like a challenge, and I'm always looking to expand this wall.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, let's talk about the first ever Drag and Drive World Champion. Talk about that run point series real quick. So you're currently tied for 5th in points. You're only 2 points behind the leaders, which is pretty awesome. And like I've told you in a few messages, you really were one of the guys that we were looking at for how can an 850 car win this overall champion, this big Drag and Drive World Champion presented by Summit Racing. And you and Jordan Tuck and Devin Vanderhoof are tied. So I got to ask you, do you plan on making a run for the championship?
Yeah. Yeah. I when I first heard about this, I guess it was a month ago, my mind was going 20 different directions. And I was thinking there's no way that I would be able to be in the running. I just figured the point structure would be too favored towards 7 and 6 second cars. And then when you put that on Saturday, I immediately already texted John and a couple other people and said, "No, this am I stupid for trying to go for this?" But I can't turn away from a competition, and that's what I love about Drag and Drive. And I was getting ready to move over to Rowdy Radial. I was only planning on doing one more 850 class and then moving the car to Rowdy Radial, but this changed all of that, and now I'm gonna swing for it in the 850 and see what I can do. I mean, obviously, I have to get perfect events. I'm going to have to break the records. I'm going to have to reset the mile an hour. So I'm going to have to change my tune-ups to make sure that I do that at each one. But I'm going to make the other people have to work for it.
That's what we
awesome.
want to hear. So what other events then are you planning for 2023?
So there's several people that asked me these question before, and I hadn't made up my mind. So I told them that I was going to be doing drag week, but after sick week, I ended up signing up for 1.0 and I signed up for 2.0. So I'm going to be doing both the Rocky Mountains. Definitely not the easiest events. I mean, that's a lot of miles, a lot of heat, the mountains. So I definitely didn't pick the easiest events. And there's some great competitors. I mean, I've seen Trevor in here posting up comments. He's always on my heels, and I know he's always trying to beat me. I know that Taco Time, they're going to be on my heels again in 2.0. So they're trying to get the win. So there's going to be lots of competitors. I know Steve Willingham, he's got his new Grand National. I talk to him all the time. I'll be traveling with him at 1.0 and 2.0.
Nice.
But, there's always someone that can just pop out of nowhere. So I got to make sure that I show up to these events, survive, win, and somehow beat my own records in mile per hour and ET.
Right. So that is a little bit of a struggle because you currently hold the race week record with a 8:51:05. So will you be the first guy that we're going to have a 5.0 average? You'll have to do it at race week to reset that record to get that point.
Yeah, I actually planned on doing it at sick week, and I really could have easily done it. Day 5 was a beating at sick week. I first pass out. I knew the air was bad. I sped the car up. It was still too slow. So I go back, make a couple changes, get in the lanes, and my car was 200 something degrees, 205, whatever. And it was just climbing. And I immediately knew, because I was having some issues with a fan relay earlier in the week, that my fan relays took a crap. And sure enough, I went out there and I had no fans. So I went back, changed the car, rewired it real quick, really ghetto, but it worked, and got back in the lanes, and the car was just running funny. But I was thinking, hey, I'll push through this. It'll clear up once I get under full throttle. Completely illogical thinking, but just was so focused on the win. And the VPS wiring got pulled. So the VPS was telling my car I was doing a bumper wheel stand wheelie and pulling timing out. And then once I got to like 5.5 seconds out, it triggered my rev limit offset for the wheelie, and car backfired, shut off. I coasted to the end. I thought I just popped the motor. And I figured out the issue, fixed the wire on the VPS. Everything was good, and made the one pass to seal the deal on the win. If all of that wouldn't have happened, I would have been trying to do it at sick week, but I'm going to have to do it at 1.0 and 2.0. So you're good. As long as everything, I need some wood. As long as everything goes okay, I did suspect you'll see that at 1.0.
That's awesome. Well, I want to bring up this Facebook user's question. It says, is breaking ET record a point and mile per hour record a point for 2 points total? Yes, that is correct. And it is per event, per class as well. So not only can you have, like with the 850 or an unlimited car or whatever class there's there, it also includes the index classes as well for like Rocky Mountain. I think your strategy is pretty smart, to be honest, because they're going to hit the same tracks twice. I think that makes a lot of sense because you'll get, now the data won't be the same as far as temp and things like that, but you'll have a lay of the land for how the tracks are from the Rocky Mountain events as you go through the year. So that's pretty good strategy there, I think.
I mean, like I said, when I signed up for these, I didn't know about this because this didn't exist. So I can't say that it was strategy to pick these two events, but it definitely will work in my favor because I'll have the data from 1.0. Hopefully it'll be a way nicer weather in late September, early October.
I'm so excited.
But it's definitely going to help a little bit.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the weather we're going to see in September.
I haven't even looked it up. What is it?
I mean,
I just know
it's
it'll
going to
be
be
better.
it's going to be the mountains. It ain't going to be 114 or whatever it was that one day they were talking about for 1.0. So we know it won't be that. But I think, we're going to cover the struggle with Rocky Mountain. It's like you're going to cover 11, 12, 1,300 miles during that week. So, all the extra abuse that goes on with the car. Let me ask about that too, because that going from attending 1 or 2 events a year to attending 3 now, what's the maintenance program look like?
Fortunately, the car is very overbuilt for 850, so I'm not running it on the ragged edge to do that. The unfortunate thing about my car is it's 3,850 pounds with me in it. So this is not your Fox body. This is moving some lead down the track. And so, weight's obviously hard on things. So, something can happen at any time. Obviously, like I said, I completely overbuilt everything. It's got upgraded aerospace shafts in the transmission. It's got billet drums and billet this. And, only thing that's stock in the transmission is the gear set. But, those have been working fine for me this long. But beyond that, this motor has been in there for 2.5 seasons now. So either after 1.0 or after 2.0, I'll probably pull the motor and get it refreshed. But for the most part, it's just been oil changes and keeping track of logs and watching coolant pressure and just looking for early signs of damage. That's how I've kind of prevented catastrophic failures in the past. But I'm going to keep my fingers crossed again, knocking on some wood, that I can continue just my very regular oil changes, regular spark plug changes, and just paying attention to the car and listening to it.
Well, and we had Lake Speed on with Speed Diagnostics a couple months ago. I think of guys like you that are now going to attend 3 events. Go make a pass, go make a run, whatever you're going to make an oil change. Man, grab a tube of that stuff and send it to them. So you can. I think it would be really cool to see racers submit that data to them. Say like for you, submit it now, and then what's it look like after 1.0? What's it look like after 2.0? So we can kind of, get some real world data there and follow up with that. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that actually would be handy. I've had some other friends that have done that in the past, but that might not be a bad thing to do.
Yeah. If you want to do that, holler at me, and I will get with him and see if there's something that we can help with from the drag and drive addiction side to just want to kind of see that process and see the data. So,
like I said, data.
Yeah. So were you planning on refreshing the engine between events prior to the world champion, or is that something that you're doing now to make sure it lasts?
Yeah, it was just time, for basically 3 race seasons or 3 years to be running a 427 and making well over 1,000 horsepower. I just figured it was time to be safe.
Yeah.
To spend a little bit of money to get fresh rings and bearings and make sure tolerances are okay and that there's no hairline cracks or something that's appearing. Another reason that I was planning on doing it was right now I've got Athena head gaskets on the car, and I was going to switch over to Fire Hoop. So my engine builder, Ryan Mueller Performance, he's been hounding me to get the motor in there to do the fire ring or top fuel hoop. So I'm definitely making that change, which is part of the reason of the refresh. While it's there, you might as well.
Yeah. So with all of that, are you planning on carrying any additional parts with you for things to break, or how is this going to kind of change your prep for the events?
My friends always make fun of me because I'm the guy that I'm an Eagle Scout. Be prepared. Like, it's just burned into my brain. I carry so many spare parts. I have just about every spare sensor, spare set. I mean, you think about anything. I have spare plug wires, spare head gasket, spare starter, spare alternator, spare water pump motor, spare header gas. Like I've got spares of just about everything as far as that stuff that you can't get at AutoZone. I've even got a spare leash street strip board, so that if I were to have a failure on my street strip board, I have a whole nother board that I can just swap in. I just try to have everything that I couldn't get at that AutoZone or O'Reilly's or whatever. Now, obviously, I don't carry piston. I don't carry a rod. If I'm going that far into it, I'm going to preserve the investment that I already have in the car and save whatever I can. It's not worth to me, as much as I would hate to bow out of it, which I've done twice, unfortunately. I would rather keep the block intact where I can fix the other stuff than just throw away, $10,000-$15,000.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's, there's a lot of like Red Hat Scotty, I'm sure, is in here. The, those guys swapping junkyard motors and things like that a bunch, that's a little different than what you've got. Red Hat Scotty said like Summit Racing on wheels.
Yeah. So I even this year I had I had a really flat, low 6x6 trailer that I've been using, and I'm currently for sale if anyone wants it. But
I was going to give you a shout out.
It's a great trailer, but I just carry so much stuff that I bought a 4x6 enclosed trailer, and I'm in the middle of adding shelves and racks and all kinds of stuff so that I can get to everything without unpacking the trailer, but be able to carry all my spare parts so that I have that stuff with me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I think as we get into this world champion, I think the prep is also going to be critical for people to, if you're going to really try to compete and complete all these events, it's, you're going to think twice about bringing that extra whatever that you might not have brought before, just in case.
Yeah. I mean, one year I had the 1 year that I've done 1.0, I had a engine failure that was a machine issue from another builder. But the other time that I wasn't able to finish was the stupidest thing ever, and I couldn't figure it out until I completely disassembled the car, basically. But it's an electrical gremlin that I would go to the track and then the parachute would hit and I'd lose all sensors. And I would wiggle around every wire. I de-loomed harnesses looking for shorts. I couldn't find it. And then it just stopped. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I fixed it. And then I went to 2.0 in 21. I was in first place, made my pass at Ennis, and I launched and the car shut off. And same thing, wiggled, banged, moved around, fired up. I went and made my next pass and ran a great pass. But as soon as I hit the brakes, the car shut off again. And I couldn't ever get the car to start back up. And when I got back home, I was like, man, I'm not touching this car for a month. I'm done with this. And sure enough, the very next day, I started ripping every wire out of the car, wire by wire, checking continuity, couldn't find anything. Once I finally got to and this is by then, I literally had all of the wiring out of the car. Nice. Took the Dominator off the firewall, and there was the tiniest little metal sliver in the J3 port, touching the only two pins that would matter and grounding out the sensor ground and sensor 5-volt.
Wow.
And it would move around when I launched or hit the parachute and cause the arc. But it's the stupidest things like that will just rack your brain and you can't figure out and knock you out of the vents. So testing, prep, all that stuff has to be perfect. Otherwise you can be out of an event just like that.
Yeah. Right. And then, so talk about some of the times that you've had an issue, like what took you out of, I think there was a DNF in there somewhere for Rocky Mountain. What caused that one?
Machine work was not up to par. I don't want
You
to
said
put
that's
too
fair.
much bad
Yeah.
information out there. It wasn't Mueller, and Mueller's awesome. But Mueller fixed the block, but and before it, I had the same issue multiple times where I'd hurt 3, get it fixed, and then I'd hurt 5, get it fixed, then I'd hurt 3, get it fixed. And I was tulipping valves like crazy. I was having to get the head surfaced way more than you would think for these kinds of things. And I finally just said, look, the other builder was taking care of it, but when you lose out of a competition, all the money you spend getting there, the lost opportunity, I was like, look, I just got to make a change. I went to Mueller. We identified all the issues, corrected them, and that motor's been in there now for 2.5 years. 2 years.
Ryan's he's a great dude, great builder. He's been on the podcast a long time ago, probably 18 months ago, I would think. Had him on discussing some of the, reasons why people have migrated to drag and drive and what that means on his side of, building stuff. So it's pretty exciting that we're seeing a lot more of those that level of builder come in, not just trying to make one fast pass, to win an event over the weekend. Now you're trying to figure out how to let something live.
I mean, I'll tell you what, I'll be like at sick week and I'll make a good pass, or even like the day that I made the 850, I found out my time from Mueller texting me before my co-pilot texted me, or, in every day, oh, that was a great pass, or that's a great starting point. Like he's invested. Like he really appreciates the racers and his customers. He's invested.
That's awesome.
So do you have any kind of wild or crazy roadside repair stories at all?
The biggest one, which was crazy, the drag week 2018, my very first drag week, on day 0 registration, I was so pumped. I passed tech. It's the first time I'd ever been through a real tech. And I was switching the car from gasoline to ethanol and fired the car up, and it made the loudest backfire you've ever heard. And we all stop and everyone is looking at me like, you didn't even make it to the end of day 0 and you're already out, because it was the worst backfire. And we kept on messing with it and testing this and testing that. And it honestly was like 4 hours later. And we figured out that my map sensor failed, was sending the Holly that the car was making 30 something pounds of boost, which was triggering my meth system. So it was pumping raw meth into the car while starting. I don't know how I didn't hydrolock the motor. I don't know how the block didn't split. I don't know how a million things didn't happen, but we were able to pull the plugs out, drain the methanol. Like, we pulled the plugs and the methanol just was draining out of the cylinders. And I made it to the end of the week. But it was so crazy to go through, like, yes, I'm here, past tech. And then not even 30 minutes later, thinking that I just grenaded my motor in Atlanta from Texas, and I'm already going to have to go home. But we, like I said, we got it situated, and I finished the week.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, one thing we haven't talked about is tires. Do you have a specific brand and tire that you race on?
Yeah, ET Pro only.
Nice.
Yeah, so
that's awesome.
ET Pro. Now for the LS Fest, I'm going. We can run a DOT slick, so I'm running some Hoosiers for that, for no prep. But when I'm running prep stuff, it's only the ET Pros.
That's awesome.
So we're gonna kind of wind down here, but I do want to ask, what drew your attention to trying to compete for this Drag and Drive World Champion?
I have a hard time turning a challenge down, and I'm already in the running. I know I can do it. The stars have to align. I mean, you've got people that are career racers, Alex, Cletus, whoever that, I'm going to assume they're going to run 3 events, but they're going to have to win 3 events. They're going to have to put up the points. Otherwise, I'll be right there nipping at their heels.
Well, and I want to talk about that for
David
a second
versus
too.
Goliath here.
Yeah, right. And hey, I'll tell you, the 850 cars were a real contention. That's why 6 and 7 second cars are only worth just a few more points. Like a 6 second car is only worth 2 more points than an 8 second car, simply for that fact. Because like you literally, your car can run 7s, but you can't because of the cage. So you're running the best class that's for that car. And so guys that are competitive as you are, I mean, hey, we're going to give you guys an opportunity to do that. And like those unlimited cars is a great example. Stefan Gustafsson went 6s in his car and he's at 37 points. So because he's at 35
36.
points. Yeah, 36 points. Because he didn't reset the record. He didn't make the mile an hour increase record. So, there's great ways for guys that are in your class to really come out and win that. So
are you going to be putting out somewhere what those records are, so I know what I need to be shooting for?
Yes. Yep. That is exactly my plan. So that's articles that'll be coming up over the next few days is as we lead up to events. 6 Summer doesn't count because it is an inaugural event. And then if there is a new class that you are racing in at an event, it will not count because that first class and first event will set the original record. Okay. So all the other points will count except for the 1 additional point that you would get for resetting a record. So yes, the plan is to roll out points for Rocky Mountain Race Week and Midwest Drags ahead of time so people can see what the current class records are and know what they would need to beat to go from there. So I think that's pretty exciting. Well, who do you want to give some shout outs to? Builders, co-pilots, friends that help you wrench on the car, anything like that. Who would you like to do that as we wind down?
I think I've mentioned just about everyone, but Mr. Wendell Dunway at Mr. Wendell's Motorsports, he's awesome. He's been in my corner forever. Ryan Mueller Performance, like I said, he's sitting there texting me as I make passes while he's building heads in the background. So you couldn't ask for a better engine builder there. Yeah. From there, Motion Raceworks and TBM, they've been awesome. There's been times at events that I've needed parts. I've R&D'd some stuff for them before, nice. But they're awesome. They're building the community. They're building us the parts that we need, and they're just cool guys. I mean, every one of them. So I really appreciate what they've done for racing, but also what they've done for me. And then obviously John Dotson, Jason Dozier. I wouldn't know what I know today without them helping me. Now, I've taken it a whole different level, and they sometimes can't believe what I've been doing, but I wouldn't be where I am today without them giving me that foundation in the beginning.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So does it make Scott mad that you outrun him? Is that why he went to 8th mile stuff?
No, we always talk shit, but he's down in Austin area, so he does some races up here too. But if I can seal the deal on this world champion this year, I'll still probably switch over to 235 next year. But
yes,
we'll see. We got to see what I achieve this year.
Well, hey, I'll tell you, I say it all the time too. 850 and then the 235 stuff. That's my jam. I love all the interesting cars that come out with 235 8th mile racing. I think it's really a lot of fun. And then Jay Blanchard does have a question. He says, do you run meth injection on top of the air-to-air intercooler?
Yeah, I've just got a meth pump and nozzle in the intake tube just to help out air intake. Because again, managing consistent temperatures, levels, pressures, all of that is key. So when you start hot lapping, that little bit of meth helps control your IATs.
Nice. And then Red Hat Scotty's asking, what's the race weight?
3850 with a sub in the back. I'm doing the car no favors.
Well, hey, at least it's in the back. It's fine.
It's ballast.
Wait.
It's just ballast.
Yeah, weight transfer.
Yeah.
Are you sure there's not? I've heard of guys hiding nitrous bottles in sub boxes.
No, I actually have one of those old bazooka subwoofers that looked like a nitrous back in high school,
Yeah.
but no, there's no nitrous on the car. I had a bad experience with that, so I'm a turbo converted only.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'm a turbo guy till the end. Well, Aaron, I want to say thank you. Obviously, like I said earlier, this won't be the last time you're on here. I'd love to have you back on before 1.0. Let you get some testing out over the next 6 or 7 weeks, and then some maintenance and things like that, as you prepare for this run for the world champion title.
Honored to come on.
Yeah. All right, dude. Well, thanks a bunch. I appreciate it. And then tell everybody where they can follow you. You said a little bit earlier, Silverback on Instagram, but that's not the full name. So
yeah, it's SLVRBAK_SS, Silverback with the vowels dropped out for the most part. But Instagram Silverback SS is pretty much all car related. Every once in a while, I'll put some barbecue smoking stuff or some random family stuff, but it's 99% cars.
Awesome. And you post there quite a bit. So I enjoy watching that feed. I think most of the time I pull up Instagram, I see something of yours. So that must mean I'm in your algorithm or something. I don't know what that means, but we'll get there. So, all right, dude, thanks again. We appreciate it. We're going to, you don't have to leave. You're more welcome to stay and hang out backstage. And then after we end the show, we can talk about some stuff while I drink some beers.
Sounds great.
All right. Thank you.
Cool. What a great dude. Listen, I'm telling you, I say that about everybody that comes on here, but I really do like him. That car of his is really one of my favorites. I say that too. I have so many favorite cars. Like, what's your limit on favorite cars? Like, is 38 too many favorite cars?
I think you get 1 or 2 a week. I think that's all right.
I think if you say one of my favorites, I think it always works.
There you go.
Yeah. You're unlimited as long as it's one of your favorites. Well, this next lady that we're going to bring up is our new Drag and Drive Addiction teammate. She hung out with us at the circuit. Obviously, like I said earlier, daily drives an 8-second S550 Mustang twin turbo car. We're going to let her tell all about that kind of stuff. But I do want to say before she jumps on here, I am excited about her being part of this because it is going to allow us to be at more events. She's going to actually race at King of the Open Road, and then I'm going to King of the Open Road with the cameras, and we're going to follow her along throughout the week or the weekend and watch her race, get some passes, get some footage, and do some interviews and stuff like that. But guys, I want to ask, if you're in here watching this, please hit the share button. Please hit the like button as you come in on whatever platform you're watching this on. We're live across Facebook and YouTube, everywhere. We got 8 different channels running right now. So please hit that share button. Let everybody know that we are here, and we're going to be live for, I don't know, the next 30 or 40 minutes while we talk to Miss Alexandria Garcia and get her story. Miss Alex, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good.
I'm excited. This is going to be fun. If everybody doesn't know, she's a little shy, so we're going to work through some of that, and then that'll all be done by the end of the season. You're gonna be the next person in front of the camera. I think the great thing about you coming onto the team is that you're going to be able to hit some events that maybe I can't or that Eric can't, and that's going to allow us to have that much more coverage across the country in these drag and drive events and any other event that we feel like is close to something that would be important for us to follow or we'll have drag and drive racers at. All right,
really
lady.
Excited.
Oh man, I'm pumped. So why don't you introduce yourself and then tell everybody kind of who you are and where they can find you on social media.
My name is Alexandria Garcia. Everybody calls me Alex. I drive a Mustang. It's just a little slow. I am a photographer. I have started photography maybe a couple months ago. I'm not the best, I don't want to say, but I'm trying. My social handles are mfqueen.racing if you want to keep up with the car, and then mfqueen.media if you want to keep up with my photography.
Nice. And then we'll also have a lot of your stuff over on the Drag and Drive Addiction social media channels as well. A lot of the stuff from the circuit came from photos of you. Photos from you, not photos of you, photos from you.
I was like, I didn't see any of those.
Yeah.
So how long have you been into cars and racing?
I've been into cars basically my whole life. My dad was a diesel mechanic, and I was at the shop with him a little bit of my childhood years. So I was very exposed to vehicles. And then I grew up across the street from a known racer named Cody. His last name's Hoffman. He's pretty fast and no prep.
Yeah.
So,
and in Dragon Drive.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's a really great guy. But I got to experience a lot of that through watching him as I grew up. And I ended up kind of picking that up myself. And it's been a wild ride.
Yeah.
But here
awesome.
I am now. It's been
so
like 5 years now.
Oh, that's cool. So tell us about the car, because it's not, I mean, an 8-second daily driver is pretty fast. So what turbo kit, kind of power it makes and things like that. And then we're going to talk about this insane burnout you laid down earlier.
Okay, so the car, I like to say it's a Frankenstein car. It has so many different things inside of it. Like, it's a Gen 2 body with a Gen 3 motor. It's a Gen 3 Coyote. It is built bottom end. I have stock heads. I haven't decided if I wanted to do anything with those yet. It is a built trans, and it's really interesting because it's also a truck trans. We didn't find that out until we were digging into it.
Nice.
But it is a built 6R80. I'm missing the planetary gears. I plan to get those whenever I go faster. I'm not really worried about it yet. It has a turbo kit that I modified because the way it came, it was rubber everywhere. Like, it was rubber. That's all it was. And it wasn't very efficient. So we modified it. It's an undermount kit. And I have Comp 67s running, and it's it's oilless, water cooled.
Oh, nice. Okay. And then cams in the car, are you still on stock cams?
Stock cams.
Wow. And then Hannah here saying that thing makes 705, right?
706 on a good day.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Well, I think everybody's seen the video from the circuit when you just destroyed some tires at Cars on the Route stop. What people don't understand is you were on a drag radio that day, and a lot of those other guys were on just a $20 used tire. You were out there killing some real tires.
Yeah, my tire bill is not fun. Not fun. But we have new radials for it in that I will be racing on for KOTOR this year. So nice. I'm hoping that they last a lot longer than the other ones.
Yeah. Yeah, 150 mile an hour wheel speed and covering about 5 miles worth of burnout travel there. That'll help.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to be that much until I saw the videos and there was like smoke everywhere. I was like, okay, that was a little much.
It was impressive.
So let everybody know, what's your fastest ET so far?
So my fastest ET was in Indiana, and I ran an 890, like 7, I think it was, at 153 miles an hour. And that was on gate, which my gate is like 15 and a half to 16 pounds. And I turned it up just a little bit, and I took it to the track, and I spun off the line. But I ran a new personal best mile per hour at 156.
Nice.
So I'm really excited to see what it does.
So that leads me perfect into the next question. What are your goals for the car?
Oh, geez. I would like to see it make or do as good as it could full weight, because I am stubborn and I don't want to take any of the comfort out of my car. But I'm hoping to see 850s this year. 860s would be great too. I'm trying to keep it on the high side, but if I could, at some point, I would like to see like 820s, 830s.
Dang, that is getting down. That's for sure. Well, let's talk drag and drive history because I think you and I met actually at King of the Open Road May of last year. I think something like that. We talked a little bit for a few minutes there, and then bring us to here. Was that your first drag and drive that you've done?
That was actually my first, yes. The first
Nice.
one that I was able to enter in, because the car has been on and off being running, broken for so long that whenever I went to KOTOR, I was actually still experiencing issues. My car decided to eat harnesses. It was not a fun time. But KOTOR in May last year was definitely the first one, and I was hoping to enter in KOTOR in the fall last year, but the car was down too. So
Gotcha. Yep. So don't break it in the next 3 weeks.
it's sitting right here.
Yeah. And then Zach Alfred saying 890 with the cooled seats on? Question mark.
Cooled seats in one hand.
Oh, nice. Nice. Well, you made with your passes, your average at King of the Open Road last year, you made it in the top 50 regional racer list in 2022. So congratulations on that. That's kind of exciting. How did you find out about that? Did I message you that you had got it, or did you see it posted up?
You messaged me, actually. I was just, minding my own business, having a day, and all of a sudden you sent me the link and said that you're going to send me stickers. And I was like, what? Because that whole weekend, it was just issue after issue after issue. Like, the car was not running at all what it should have. So whenever you sent me that message, I was just like, whoa, because that's crazy.
That's awesome.
That had to be exciting then after that weekend to get that kind of news.
Oh, it was. Like I said, the car ate a harness. It destroyed one of my turbos, actually. We didn't find that out until rebuilding it. And then it was just spinning, or it blew a charge pipe off, or, just issue after issue after issue. So we were in the 9.0 class, and I was supposed to be a 9.0, like, every time I went down the track. But it was like a 9.3, a 9.8, 9.7. Like, it was just issue after issue again. So seeing that was definitely really exciting.
Yeah. So what events do you plan on attending in 2023?
I am going to be doing KOTOR. I would like to do KOTOR in the fall again, but I'm going to be working, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to. And then I do plan on doing Streetcar Takeover, probably Ennis, only because I can't make Oklahoma City.
Nice.
And then there's a bunch of local ones that I'll probably end up making, but off the top of my head, I don't know.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's cool. And then so let's talk about the story of you coming on as a new team member for Drag and Drive Edition. So for folks that don't know or maybe have not followed for very long, we put out a post a couple months ago that was asking for folks that were going to be, we're kind of looking for folks in different parts of the country, content creators and things like that. So walk us through the process of that. I think you replied to that post, and then Hyde and I reached out, or Hyde and Eric maybe reached out to you and had some conversations.
So I have a good friend. Her name's Hannah. She is a fiance to Levi, and he sent me the post before I actually saw it on Facebook. And I was like, that's cool. I'm going to apply and see, why not? Yeah. So I applied, and then I saw the post, and I had actually talked to you, Narks, a little bit about it. And you were like, you should message him. Like, here's, message him. And I was like, okay, cool. So then me and Hyde got on the phone, I believe, the next day. And he was like, you should come to the circuit, like, try it out. We'll see how it fits. And whenever the circuit happened, like, I was trying so hard, you guys, so hard. And whenever he told me that he was happy with it, I was like, oh, it was a dream come true, because I've always been a big fan of drag and drive events. Like, my car built around drag and drive stuff. Like I just want to drive it and enjoy it. Like going to the track and racing isn't like that much fun unless you're able to enjoy it. And I don't enjoy just sitting in a staging lane all day long.
Right.
So whenever I got the news that I was able to come on as a team member, it was literally like perfect.
It was good timing, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was.
So now that you're a team member, what do you want to accomplish as a team driver?
Oh boy. I would like to do a lot more drag and drive events. I would like to travel to some of them that are further out than Oklahoma. I also would like to get a couple wins. That would be ideal.
Yeah.
I've always been third place, second place, you name it, but I would like to get a couple wins under the book as a team driver.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that'd be awesome. And then, photography is your main thing, but you also helped a ton at the circuit with social media. So what's your goal? Like, what is your style of photography? What are you mainly looking for when you're shooting?
I like capturing emotion. I like to capture like a lot of the racers whenever they're like, oh, my car's not doing the greatest, or oh my god, I got an 8-second like Tim. Whenever he ran his 8, I was like, perfect. And I ran for him. Like, I also
did you see that he had said he had made 500 passes to make that 899 pass? That's
isn't that
insane.
crazy? And for it being full interior too, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
But
Pretty impressive.
I also think that I like to capture detail. I like to, like my intercooler, it has a little crown on it. And it's like little details like that I like to capture whenever I'm taking pictures of cars. So whenever I see any kind of little thing that people made their car to be them, like you can take a picture of a Mustang and be like, oh, it's a Mustang. But, there's little things that owners will do to make it their own. And I like to capture that.
That's awesome.
Very cool. Real quick, I just want to give a shout out to Destroyer here for some super chats. So definitely thank you, sir.
Dude, thanks a bunch. Beers on him. That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
All right. So how long have you been a photographer? I think you mentioned earlier, maybe just a couple months. And then how did you get started in doing that?
I've been taking photos. I think I calculated it to be like 5 months now, 4 or 5 months. And I've always been into photography. I've always wanted to do it. And I just never really pursued it. Never had a reason to, I guess. And I started heavily thinking about it because I have a lot of downtime at the track. And I like to, like I said, capture my car how I want to capture it. Because I have lots of photographer friends. I can always ask them. But I don't like to be like, hey, come hang out with me at the track and, stand around. But I had a good friend of mine who pushed me to do that. And here I am now, a couple months later, taking photos for drag and drive that I'm super thankful for.
That's awesome. Well, do you mainly focus on automotive photography? Do you take other stuff?
I mainly do automotive. I've been wanting to do portraits and stuff because I have a lot of friends who ask me to do photos for that and like modeling. And I had a little bit of experience with modeling, so I can help like the models however they need to be helped. Yeah. And I would like to do a little bit more of the modeling photography, the portraits, mainly cars, but
yeah.
So what is your camera setup that you have right now?
I have a Sony A7R3, and it's got a 24 to 72 millimeter lens on it, I think.
Okay.
But I hope to get more lenses because I need one for very far away.
Yeah.
But I haven't gotten there yet.
Hey, that's all right. That's why I never got into photography, because I'm like, man, there's so many different things you need. Chris Story and I talk a lot about, his setup and how much people can spend on cameras. And I'm like, I just can't get there.
Yeah, like I have a friend who does light painting where it's like there's lights and stuff
Oh, yeah.
off in the background. It looks so cool. And I want to try to do that, but I have to invest in lights. I have to invest in like so many different things. And I'm just like, and then my car's like, I need tires.
Yeah, you don't need a new lens. You need new tires. That's awesome. Well, I will tell you, we are excited to have you on the team. We're excited that you're going to be able to provide more content for people that are out there wanting more drag and drive content, and bring more addicts into this whole community. So it's
I'm
exciting.
really excited too. I'm really excited to meet everybody and meet all of the racers. Like everybody's so humble, and not just like humble and like, you're going to be faster than me, but like they're willing to actually talk to you and teach you things. And not a lot of people are like that in the racing community.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the greatest things about the drag and drive communities, because everybody wants everyone to compete at their highest level. And when people win, they want to earn it. So, well, that's pretty cool. Well, thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate it. And again, tell everybody where they can follow you on all your social.
My racing page is mfqueen.racing, and then my media page is mfqueen.media.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Again, we appreciate you coming on, and you will obviously be on more often than probably most anyone else. And we'll be talking about events that are coming up and kind of what to look for. And then me and you'll be at King of the Open Road. And I think we're also, as of today, bringing the Drag and Drive Addiction merch trailer down, which is exciting as well. So we'll have some shirts and decals and all that kind of stuff available there too. And you were a big lifesaver at the circuit event, helping with all of that stuff. So this time we're going to have all of that sorted, and we're just going to turn you loose and let you get photos while we worry about merch and everything from there. So thanks again for coming on, and we'll see you soon.
Yep,
Thank you guys for having me.
No problem.
All right, we'll see you.
Bye.
Dude, that's going to be really good for the people that follow the brand, because it's going to allow us to have more coverage across all the events. She's over somewhere towards Oklahoma City, which helps get a lot more of that kind of stuff. And a lot of our racers, because of the race week history, they have they live in that part of the state, they live in that part of the country, so she can hit events that maybe they'll be at that I wouldn't normally be able to attend because of the travel and stuff like that.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. I wish we had a video of the burnout to lay down, because, dude, she murdered the tires while we were there at the Cars on the Route. So, yeah, thanks for saying great addition to the team, to Jacob. Appreciate that. It is exciting to be adding folks, and we will be looking to add more folks in different parts of the country as we go throughout this year, because obviously we can't attend to everything, and we need folks everywhere. We got to have all of that additional content, and we're looking for folks all the time that are attending an event like Chris Story. In the past, he was the official photographer of the circuit. We are hiring him for a few events to grab some of those special shots throughout the year. So if you also need if he's going to be at an event and you want a photo package, you set up Chris Story on Facebook or Chris Story Photo. So, dude, what else we need to talk about, man? We've had a good show tonight.
Yeah, we got a question here from earlier I forgot to bring up, and I don't know if you have the answer, but is there tent camping at Midwest Drags?
Yes, there is tent camping. You can do that there for sure. And I think most of the drag and drive events across the country will allow that and actually encourage it. So
awesome. Hopefully this Facebook user is still watching, because I forgot to pull that one up earlier.
I'm sure they are. I'm actually going to pull up because typically when we run through the event countdown and things like that, we only talk about a few events coming up throughout the next few weeks. Mm-hmm. But the weekend after Midwest Drags, it really takes off big time after that. We have many events that same weekend, and I'm actually pulling up the event list now to see. So we'll have Alaska Speed Week. Actually, we didn't include Street Weekend UK in our list, which is June 16th through 18th. And then Street Week Sweden is July 8th through 15th. So we've got to get those added into our weekly update. And then you have the Central Illinois Streetcar Shootout and Stroll, I think is what Kyle Beaumont is calling that. The July 14th and 15th Heads Up Hustle is July 14th through 16th. The Road Trip Drag Challenge in Australia is July 14th through 16th. And then you have Miles of Mayhem, July 23rd through 28th. So just in the time from the start of Midwest Drags, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 events in the month of July.
Awesome.
Dude, you thought we were busy before?
Right.
Wait until July. Holy moly, it's going to be intense. So we're gonna buy stock in Monster and Red Bull, and we're going to try and survive on those. So pretty exciting. Again, if you want to see a list of Drag and Drive events, just go to drag-in-drive.com/news. And that will get you in there, and then you can put a list. You can see the list of events as you scroll down a few. We are adding a page for the World Champion that will have all of the layouts and points explanation. If you go to the main pages or within the list pages, it will show you where the standings are for that particular list. So every person that will be on the list will have a world champion points tally next to their name if their event is eligible for that. So you can jump in, you can find all that. After this episode, it'll be dragandrive.com/world champion. So,
and while you're
pretty
there,
exciting.
pick up
Do what?
you're there, pick up a Parking Lot Beers and Trailer Burnout shirt.
That's right. Yep. It only runs for another 17 days. That is a limited run shirt. And what I can't wait for, man, I'm pumped to see some of those out at events that will be coming up, as we have 13 events in the next 8 weeks or whatever it was. So it'll be pretty wild. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out tonight. We will be back on Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern for the Drag and Drive news. And again, talked about the Built for Drag and Drive by Sweet Patina. We'll have that car feature on there. We'll have the Howard's Cams comedy segment. We're going to do some really funny memes we've been gathering. And then we're going to talk about World Champion, where people stand. We're going to talk about events that are coming up, some things that will happen within those events, some racers that are signed up for the events and things like that. So Carolina Drag Cruise is kind of my top event list we're going to talk about, because it is obviously going to be next weekend. So y'all, thanks so much for hanging out. We appreciate it. You've been here a long time. So we'll see you guys Saturday morning, and then next week at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yep. See you guys.